This story comes from St. Louis, Missouri, and it's about Lamar Johnson, a man who was wrongfully convicted. We're going to jump straight into the video. So before I tell you about Lamar Johnson, I want to paint the picture and the backstory of what happened. See, there were two men draped in black with black masks that had their eyes and nose cut out. They ran up on another man who was sitting out on his porch at night, Marcus Boyd. And after a brief scuffle, they shot Marcus Boyd, fatally killing him. Now, that being said, Lamar Johnson was the person picked up by police and then arrested and convicted. He's been serving a life term since he was 21. Today he is 47. He's been in jail for over 2 decades. Despite presenting evidence to show that he could not have committed the murder. He himself has been fighting his case with no lawyer for the past 20 years, until recently getting a lawyer, a very powerful one at that, and I'll speak on that in a few minutes. But let's talk about the case and present all the evidence. So first and foremost, let's talk about Lamar Johnson's alibi. Lamar was at his girlfriend's house, 3.5 miles away to be exact. He did step out briefly for about 5 minutes. His girlfriend attests to this. There were 2 others at his girlfriend's house who also corroborated the girlfriend's story and confirmed Lamar Johnson was there. That being said, the girlfriend's piece about Lamar Johnson stepping out for 5 minutes to meet a friend was damning evidence, sort of, as it was misconstrued by police. Police said within that 5 minutes, Lamar Johnson traveled 3.5 miles to Marcus Boyd's house, murdered him, and then traveled that 3.5 miles back. They said he could have completed all that in 5 minutes. However, when you go into Google Maps and you put in both locations, it shows that it would take over 4 times that amount of time just to travel there and back, let alone commit a murder in between. Now let's talk about the lack of evidence / unsubstantiated evidence. You see, part of the reason, in addition to the 5-minute thing that the police are talking about, that Lamar Johnson was picked up was because the other person on the porch of Marcus Boyd pointed out Lamar Johnson and claimed he was the guy who did it. That being said, there was no way that that man would have been able to for sure know that it was Lamar Johnson, as the 2 perpetrators were clad in masks with only their eyes and piece, not even their full nose, just a piece of their nose cut out. Moving forward though, let's talk about another piece that quite literally just makes everything else irrelevant. You see, the 2 men that actually committed the crime, that actually murdered Marcus Boyd, they later went on to confess to the murder. And not just confess, explicitly say that Lamar Johnson had nothing to do with it. Because of all this, Lamar Johnson was able to get a powerful ally on his side. You see, the district attorney's office that put Lamar Johnson away had a new district attorney. This attorney was much more progressive, and when reached out to, she agreed with Lamar Johnson and decided to fight for him. That being said, the fight is filled with struggle. See, Kimberly Gardner, the new district attorney / prosecutor, when she went to overturn his case and she petitioned the judge for it, political barriers were then set up as the judge put in place State Attorney General Eric Schmitt. Eric Schmitt, who's a Republican and staunchly against any kind of liberal ideologies, especially those held by Kimberly Gardner, set out to become a wall. He quite literally stated in court that Kimberly Gardner had no power to overturn a case, despite the complete innocence of the victim. Obviously, for a state like Missouri, the state Supreme Court sided with Attorney General Eric Schmitt and basically blocked Kimberly Gardner from exonerating Lamar Johnson. Funny thing is though, this happened in 2019/2020. In 2018, 2 other district attorneys were totally allowed to exonerate members of their districts. However, the same courtesy was not extended to Kimberly Gardner. That being said, this August, the state legislature has passed a bill on to Governor Mike Parsons, which basically would allow Kimberly Gardner to have a lot more power in exonerating Lamar Johnson. Should the governor sign the bill, she could then exercise her newfound right to help Lamar Johnson get freed from prison. That being said, there are still political barriers there, as the governor has yet to sign it, and even after he signs it, the Attorney General and the courtroom still has some level of say in the process. Lamar Johnson, who has been in jail for over 2 decades now, who was picked up at age 21 and is now 47, thought that even with such a powerful ally as the district attorney, he could at least have a retrial or at least have a hearing. And it was a devastating blow when he wasn't granted that courtesy. But hopefully with this new bill, the next thing he'll worry about is what to do on his day out. That being said, I have another video of another person, also in Missouri, who has a very similar case, just like Lamar Johnson. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to watch the next one, I'll put the card here. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, thank you.